Hey guys, so today in this lecture what we're going to be talking about is called name property. Now that's again a property on every function that you have in JavaScript. And identifying functions can be challenging in JavaScript given then the various ways a function can be defined. Additionally, prevalence of anonymous functions expressions makes debugging a bit more difficult, often resulting in stack traces that are hard to read and decipher. Now, for some reason, es6 added the name property to all functions. Knowing the name property is not super critical for knowing es6, but however, it's a good knowledge to have. And if you have any questions, of course, I'll be happy to address. Now, all functions in es6 program will have an appropriate value for their name property. Now, let me quickly give you two examples that you see on the screen right now, which is out here, do something and do another thing. And these are two functions that I have. One is of course a function and one is assigned to a variable, as you can see. Now, if I just do a console.log, a name property on the function, so something like do something dot name, it should give me the name of the function. And you can see do something was the name printed. Similarly, if I do say do another thing, it should give me the name of the do another thing function. And you can see these are the two names of the two functions that I have in place. Now let me elaborate a little. So in this code, do something has a property or a property name as do something because that's what the function name is. That's what we have declared the function with. Now the anonymous function expression, which is out here, this expression, it is assigned to a variable of do another thing. And that's why the name itself of that function is assigned to that variable name. Now let's quickly talk about a special case of how es6 handles functions. Now, while appropriate names for the function declaration and function expressions are easy to find, you can name anything that you want to. But es6 makes sure and goes one step further to ensure that all the functions have appropriate names. Let me quickly elaborate on the example that we have. So let's say I have another variable, let's say do my thing equals to function of do my thing again. I don't know whatever this is, but let's say that's the name of the function. And I put it, of course, I can have anything in the function. I'm not giving anything out here. So that's my function definition, declaration, as well as assignment to a variable. Now let's do a console log, console.log, and let's try to do a name of do my thing. So do my thing dot name. Now you would expect that because it is assigned to a variable, do my thing should be the name. However, you will see the name of the function is do my thing again. The reason that it is do my thing again because the function declaration or the name of the function takes precedence over the variable assignment. As we saw, it was assigned to a variable, but here there was no declaration of the name of the function. Hence, the variable assignment took the name as the property. Now, if you have the name of the function given, of course, that will take precedence, and the name of the function will be the name of the function name that you give in the declaration. Let's also see another function where we have functions in objects. So let's say you have an object called a person, and let's say person is equal to, you can just do a get of a first name. Now again, get is nothing but a getter that you can have in a function. It behaves very much that you just do a get of something and you can get the return statement of that particular name. So let's say get return name is Abhay. Now that's one part of the theory. Now that's about the get function. Let me quickly go and write another function saying say name. Now this is a variable that I can assign a function inside the object and say this will just do a console.log and it will just print out the this.name. So whatever is the name, whenever I do a say name, it should print out the name of that function. Let me clear the console. Now let's quickly try to print the console.log, and then let's use the object which is person dot say name, which is the variable name for that function dot name, and let's see what it gives us. And it gives us the name as say name. The name property of person dot say name is say name, as the value was interpreted from the object literal. Similarly, person dot first name is actually a getter function, so let's try to use that too. So the way you can get the first name to be printed is you can just do a descriptor is equals to object dot get own property descriptor. Now you have the descriptor, you can just pass in the object person, comma the getter or the first name. I think that's how I named it, first name. Now once you get the descriptor, all you need to do is console.log. You can just get the descriptor. Let me try to autocomplete, and once you do that, you can just do a get and then the name. Now let's see what the output is, and the output of that should be get first name. You can see out here it says get first name. So person.firstName is actually a getter function, so its name is get first name. To indicate the difference, similarly, if you have a setter function, just like you have a name or a get first name, you have a setter function called a set something. In that case, it will just be a setter. So set whatever the name of the function you give. And of course, every time you need to, print out a getter or a setter, you need to make sure that you have the descriptor created first. Now, there are a couple of other things that you need to consider for function names too. Let's say function names are created using bind. So this is a very common terminology, or whatever you do is very common in React context. Whenever you have React functions, you will usually bind them. And whenever you bind them, the name prefix would be with the bound function. So if you have a property of name that you check on a function, it will always be a bound. Let me show you an example. So we have everything. Now let's try to do something like this. Console.log. Now initially we had a do something function out here, which was and do another thing function out here. So we have do another thing in a variable. Let's use that variable, do another thing. So go back to our console.log. Here I'll do is do another thing dot bind, and here I can just do a name after the binding. Let's try to see what it gives us, and it will give you bound do another thing. You can see that it is preceded with the keyword bound, and it gives you a name of the function that it is. So whenever you do a binding, you will always get something as bound and then the name of the function. So keep in mind that the value of name of any function does not necessarily refer to a variable of the same name. So the name property is meant to be informative. It is only for information to help you debug. So there is no way to use the value of name to get a reference to the function, and you cannot make the function call using the name property. So that's why I said at the beginning of the lecture, this is a very informative lecture on how you can get the name of a function, but it's not necessarily important that you will use it or it will be more often used. Make sure if you need any information, you can use the name keyword and you can get the property value for that function. Now that was all about the property names. I'll see you in the next class.